what God cannot do does not exist. We dey pray, e dey show. My name is Grace Temitope from Jos Plateau State. I'm giving this testimony as regards my son. He's 3 years old. On the 3rd of March, he woke up suddenly that he cannot walk again, cannot stand, he cannot do anything. I was surprised because this is a boy that went on his own to go and sleep the previous night. Nothing of any sort was the issue. Only for him to wake up the next day and say he cannot stand, he cannot walk, he cannot do anything. I was thinking he was joking. I carried him to bathe him for school, and immediately I pulled off his clothes. As I removed the shirt, he fell down on the floor flat. And I was surprised, I was shocked. I said, what could this be? 4 days later, there was no changes. I was not seeing any changes. My son cannot move, nothing. And we had to go to the hospital. And the hospital, immediately we got there, they had to admit us to the specialist hospital in Jos here, Jute. Immediately that night we went to Jute, and we stayed a week in the hospital. My son was just complaining of pain on his legs, that he's feeling so much pain. He cannot walk, he cannot stand. If you ask him to stand, he'll be crying. And so after they admitted us, they gave us a particular kind of injection for 5 days. They said is to reduce, according to them, there's an immune disorder that the body is fighting against itself. And so when they gave him that injection, after 5 days, there was nothing. They were administering again, and they had to discharge us. They hooked up us with the neurologist. I asked him, I said, what could have caused this? And he said, it's Guillain-Barré Syndrome that they suspect, because after doing all the tests they could do that night, everything, there was a particular test they did, it's called lumbar puncture, where they had to bend him to get fluids from his spinal cord. And after doing all those, he's sleeping, he'll be crying, and certain times he cannot turn. When he wants to turn, he'll ask me, I wake me up to turn him. He wants to shift his legs, he wants to do anything. I must be the one. He wants to go to the bedroom, he wants to go to the toilet, we have to carry him. And this is a child that is already walking, 3 years old before. And we kept praying, hoping and believing in God. And I said, I'm on the altar, it cannot happen. Who could have afflicted my child? He will not go scot-free. We started praying and praying and praying and praying. On the 5th anniversary of NSPPD, Papa said something in the interview that played at the end of the program. He said that why he cries, because they were asking him that why do you cry on a Wednesday for a day of mercy? And he said he is touched by what people are going through. That's because how do you explain somebody sleeps and wake up, cannot walk?
Every day I am greeted with all kinds of messages. You are seeing all kinds of situations. Let me give you an example. So how do you make this kind of prayer? You see a woman who lost her husband, tried to remarry, loses the second one. And after everything, tries to get married a third time, loses the third husband. What sense? How do you stand to pray for someone who's had a first child is autistic, second one is autistic, third one is autistic, and the fourth one is autistic? Now, these are the ones you know. Yes. These are the kind of people wake up in the morning and they discover they can't work. How do you, sincerely, except you're a professional, but if you're in touch with their pain, right? And if you're in touch with the way the people are feeling, you know, there are days I wish I can't feel that way, really. There are days when you're done and you come back home and you even cry 4 times, or maybe, what I'm doing is from my heart. What I'm doing is a calling. What I'm doing is what God has called me to do. What people don't understand is that there are days I wish I wasn't feeling this way. Even in my tiredness, when I go up.
That's my son's case. Oh God, since you have put it in his mouth, since you have put it in his mind, oh God, heal my son, heal my son. I was so positive about it. My son can now walk. Not only stand, he can walk by himself. He doesn't need help. This is my son. He's walking on his own. He's moving on his own. He can now walk. See him. Glory be to God. My son can now walk. Oh, glory be to God. See him walking. My child that could not stand before, now he can walk. All glory be to God. We just want to thank God for his healing.
And as we video celebrate our God, celebrate, celebrate.